Curtains down on this most anticipated event, FIFA World Cup 2022, which happened here in Qatar. Festivities have come to an end, and we have almost forgotten how and what our days were like prior to World Cup. After a couple of rest days, Christmas definitely brought back the fun and enthusiasm. Frankly speaking, I was yet to get back to the normal routine, and that's when I thought of bringing a twist in this year's Christmas tree. My kids were really excited to give me some helping hands in this DIY projects, and we could complete this within few minutes. It was just a matter of gathering all these plastic scrap, which was readily available in my studio floor from my previous project. And we didn't forget to add some decorations as well. For me, Christmas always felt like the time to reflect on the past year. It has been super exciting and positive in terms of my career, and I'm so grateful for many wonderful projects that came along my way. Since October, I had been busy and continuously working on multiple projects simultaneously. Even though I had recorded many clips, I never got a chance to share it here. This project is way out of my comfort zone. It is absolutely different from my usual style of work with vibrant colors and thick textures. Even though the initial discussions for this project started prior to my summer holidays, the confirmation of the project came very late. But I was so excited to commit for this project because it was going for a prestigious venue, and unfortunately I cannot disclose the client yet. Their requirement was to create this interesting quadriptych, that is 4 canvases of similar theme and similar color palette, which need to be cohesive, minimal and contemporary. This is the initial progress after the design got confirmed. Meanwhile, I also got a confirmation on yet another project which was slightly larger in number but very short notice. Those who are following me on Instagram might be knowing that I was working on multiple projects, really different but exciting in a good way. So all of those needed so much time for designing and reworking, thinking, but everything had really close deadlines as usual. So, but yeah, I jumped right in and I was creating a lot, cutting continuously. I have no clue how much bottles I have cut and how much textures I made in the past 2 weeks. Tomorrow is a deadline for one of the projects. So I thought I'll show you a little sneak peek of what I was creating. Obviously, the initial phase is to gather the correct bottles, clean, cut and sort them in correct size and shapes. For this project, 4 different types of artworks needed to be created, and each of them need to be in 5 numbers. That is, altogether 20 artworks will be created. I knew the days ahead were filled with tons of cutting and painting these plastic textures. As per the plan, I started the project with the simplest one, which is creating single crystal rose, and I'm right now making the petals of the organic floral formation. Each of these crystal flowers had 12 to 15 petals, so you could calculate how many petals I might have created. I used to update the progress regularly on my Instagram or social media handles as well, and I used to get hundreds of questions regarding the type of paints that I use, the type of cutters that I'm using to get these curves right, and the step-by-step procedures, etc. etc. I've answered to many of them, but still on a daily basis I receive the similar queries.
frankly speaking, I do not follow a step by step procedure. I am a very spontaneous person and I love that spontaneity about my process. And I believe that is the originality or authenticity of my work. So, through my works, I wish people to gather inspiration to work on this unconventional material and create ideas or develop their own style of works. So the painted plastics are now being cut into smaller portions in which can be cut down as petals or any other shapes as required. So I've sorted them in different colors. These will be for the crystal roses, and the other pink and purple will be added for the desert rose. While 3 of the designs were 3D sculptures, one of them was like a framed wall sculpture. This was inspired by one of my previous artwork from a collection in 2021 named Feeling Tropical. The only customization request on the existing design, which was from the client side, was the addition of textures inspired by whale shark. That's when I learned that Qatar is home to the largest whale shark aggregations in the whole world. Meanwhile, on the other side of the studio, this project has been completed. It was time to varnish and sign them. Now I can completely concentrate on this project. Starting with these crystal roses, the next step is to add a tinge of gold on the end of these petals. Meanwhile, hundreds of these tiny details were being hand cut, hand painted, and created. These will be added to the wall sculpture, which will have very vibrant coral reef textures. I had to create textures for 5 of the artworks, and that's why you're seeing a lot of them. I absolutely love this particular element. Moving on to the making of the new edition, that is the whale shark detail. I was expecting a couple of trials and errors, but to my surprise, the first one itself came out beautifully. So I had to just stick on and follow the same process for rest of the 4 artworks as well. I've mentioned in many of my previous videos that I used to love painting on glass surface earlier in my art career. And on the plastics as well, I used to follow or treat the material as glass itself. And I used to follow techniques or the process inspired by the glass painting or reverse glass painting techniques. If you have noticed here, I am adding the details first and then covering it with the background shade. These organic curves were the blessings from the plastic bottle itself. I didn't do any magic on that. And this is how the finished artworks looks.
So this exciting project is for the Ministry of Environment, and I had to create 20 artworks which were of 4 different styles. So initially I had done, so they had checked my profile and they had confirmed few of the designs, and I had to add few textures to it. Basically, I needed to highlight the marine life of Qatar. So it was really exciting to add and learn about those marine creatures. So one had the addition of this texture, that is this is a hawksbill turtle. I haven't completed this. These will be painted and then added it into the whole sculpture. Then there was a texture of a black whale. I was in the process of creating the textures in the beginning, and then few of them needed a lot of cutting and painting. So I was stressed out in between because I had committed to another project also. That was also kind of tricky because that was not my style of work, but somehow I jumped right in because I thought it would be a great opportunity, and the fact that it was going to a really prestigious place, so I thought I should commit to that. Thank God I completed it, and today was the delivery for that artwork. I think I'll share the details later because I don't know how that would turn out in that place. And once I get to see the picture, I will share the details of that artwork as well. Right now, I'll show the status or the progress in my studio. Please excuse the mess around because it is really chaotic and it had been like this throughout the week. But yeah, it's fun mess, and that's the beauty behind it. So these are the total textures that I've made, and I need to paint it right now. I'm just waiting for this outline to get dried, and the cut out pieces, this is not part of the project. This I've just kept to cheer me up, and the table is really messy and some leftover textures. And coming to the floor, so these are the completed artworks. All these will go in the frame tonight. These are different textures that have been painted and kept for drying at different stages. These all will go to the sculpture.
Attached all the artworks to the black mat boards, and it is time to sign them.
Just finished framing this one. I have 4 more to go, and I absolutely love it. I don't know how much you can see the beauty of it because of the glare of the perspex, but with the light, it's absolutely beautiful. Can you see the textures? Oh, I'm loving it.
Now, keeping aside those 5 of them, I'm moving on to the creation of these coral reef patterns. I had to cut down hundreds of these shapes, paint them, and all these were created out of these discarded plastic jugs. Meanwhile, these hawksbill turtles were also painted and dried. I'm super happy with the way it had turned out, and it looked perfect on this 3D sculpture. The initial calculation was very precise in terms of the number of textural elements, and I was so happy with the way it turned out. And right now I'm proudly signing these as well. The crystal roses are also ready. Now I'm moving on to the making of the desert rose artworks. This was the most time-consuming one, and maybe that's why I kept it for the last. This floral formation was inspired by a flower or a type of a plant which was commonly found in the deserts. This needed many small textural elements which need to be individually hand-cut, hand-painted and assembled onto the base, which was taking a lot of time. But as you can see, the result was worth all that effort. Right now, this desert rose is my favorite work so far. Now the creation part is finally finished, and moving on to the final phase, that is adding the artworks inside this glass cloche, sealing them, signing, and then adding the stickers to it. I was filled with gratitude to see this gorgeous spread. Thanks to the authorities of Ministry of Environment for believing in me and my works and giving me this wonderful project. And all these artworks soon traveled to Cairo, Egypt to take part in COP27, and these artworks represented Qatar and was presented to many dignitaries. While winding up this eventful year 2022, I can only think of 2 words: content and gratitude.